And we're going to move on into our next segment. We're going 11 through 20. If you're joining us on YouTube, hello. We are on Twitch, twitch.tv/Most Foul Podcast. On Saturdays, we record. How we're going to do this one is Dave will give his 11 through 20, Sean will give his 11 through 20, and I will give mine, and then we will talk about a couple different things from these guys. We're not going to go through every pick. So, Dave, we'll start with you. Who's your 11 through 20, starting with the Suns?
Sure. For the Phoenix Suns, I have them going with Sadiq Bey, the forward from Villanova. At number 12, I've got the Spurs going Jaden McDaniels. I've got the Kings taking Tyrese Maxey. I've got the Blazers going RJ Hampton. The Magic taking Aaron Nesmith. The T-Wolves taking Josh Green. The Celtics taking Alexei Pokusevsky. Which one is it?
Pokusevsky.
Stev. Thank you. Stevsky.
Yeah, we watched the YouTube video and the guy said Pokusevsky.
Yeah,
we wrote up Stev. Okay.
Either way, the Mavericks are going to be taking Jalen Smith. The Bucks will be taking Isaac Okoro. And then at the final pick of the 10 through 20, I got the Nets taking Theo Maledon.
All right, go Bears. Number 11, I have the Suns taking Patrick Williams, forward out of Florida State. At 12, I have the Spurs taking RJ Hampton, guard out of internationals, but he's from here. 13, Kings, Jaden McDaniels, forward from Washington. 14, Blazers taking Isaac Okoro, forward from Auburn. 15, Magic, Cole Anthony, guard from UNC. 16, T-Wolves via the Nets, Aaron Nesmith, guard from Vanderbilt. 17, Celtics via the Grizzlies, Leandro Bolmaro, forward from Barcelona. 18, Mavericks, Theo Maledon, guard from overseas. 19, Bucks via the Pacers, Kira Lewis Jr., guard from Alabama. And 20, Tyrese Maxey. Actually, flip those. Bucks took Maxey, and then Nets take Kira Lewis.
Okay. And then mine, the Suns are going to take Cole Anthony at number 11. Number 12, the Spurs take Devin. Is it Vassell? Devin Vassell from Florida State. 13, the Kings go with Tyrese Maxey out of Kentucky. 14, the Blazers go Nico Mannion, guard out of Arizona. 15, Kira Lewis Jr., guard out of Alabama, going to the Magic. At 16, the T-Wolves via the Nets, Trey Jones, guard out of Duke, guard. Then at 17, the Celtics take Alexei Pokusevsky. Josh Green at 18, going to the Mavericks. 19, the Bucks via the Pacers go Theo Maledon. And then at 20, the Nets via the 76ers go with Tyler Bay, the forward out of Colorado. And the way Sean, thank you for filling out teams and players that we're going to talk about in this second section. We're going to start out with a player, and I'm glad that we're going to start out with him. And that's Jaden, not Jalen. Jalen's already in the NBA. Jaden McDaniels, forward out of Washington. This is a guy, Sean, you've got him 13 to the Kings. Dave, you've got him 12 to the Spurs. Where does Ricky have him? Drum roll, please. Not in my first round. He was originally in my first round. Dave, before we recorded, was like, hey, guys, you don't have Isaac Okoro in your first round. So I'm like, oh, shoot. He bumped out Jalen McDaniels. For me, I just think that he's a guy that, yes, but could he go in the first round? Absolutely. But it's kind of the same thing we talked about with Precious, where I feel like he's more of a project than most players. And because of that, unless you really fall in love with him, you're not going to take him with a first round pick. Both you guys probably are different than me because you have him in the first round. What are your thoughts on Jaden?
I mean, he's 6'9", very athletic, is shooting, 33.9% from three, 76.3% from the line. The athleticism, I don't think, could be undersold enough. He's pretty good with the ball in his hands. We're talking about potential. This draft is all about potential. There's no way he's not going in the first round.
Yeah,
Your hot take, Ricky, if you want, but it's just wrong. He's going to the first round.
I mean, I could see it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out.
I'd be shocked.
How would he fall
I'd do
out?
a Sean Anderson. I'd shave my head.
How would
unless he beats a woman prior to the draft or beats somebody up. Like he's not falling. What was his brother doing? His brother got into some shit. Like he's obviously not his brother, but like
Yeah.
unless he's smoking a gas mask on IG Live, like
Mhm.
before it, whatever causes people to fall out of a draft, he commits tax evasion. Like he's not falling out of the first round.
Sean gonna make another bet and lose it? What?
He's not losing this
Not this one.
Look, I don't understand the hate boner that you have for Jaden McDaniels.
It's not a hate boner. There's no hate boner. There's no hatred in my voice. I just, for me, like, that's the thing of this draft. Like, the same reason why I have Okoro so low is I feel like projects in this draft, unless a team really, really loves them, they're going to get passed on.
But who in this draft is an established player? Like, are you going for guys with no upside?
Well, and
because this draft is only projects in my mind.
And that's the thing. As we get lower, these are
like you got fucking Pokusevski going, and you don't think he's a project?
Well,
he's 7 feet tall and weighs $150.
I mean, let's be honest. The Celtics do also need a center at some point, and
are you sure he's a center?
I would put him at the center position. But I'm like, the Celtics are a team. They might not even be making that pick, Dave. So
they shouldn't be making 3 picks.
Like with me, the Celtics were more like, hey, draft, like, could be a draft and stash, could be a guy that they fall in love with. Like, they're the only team as we get lower that can do that, ? Like, all the other teams are going to be looking for guys that can help them win now or help them win closer to now and not be that big of a project. Like Jaden McDaniels, I think, is going to take at least 2 years before we start to see what all the stands of him see. It's going to take 2 years for us to see that. We're not going to see that year one.
So if you knew what Giannis was, would you pass on him because he was a raw prospect? He was a project?
I don't think Jaden McDaniels is going to be the next Giannis.
It took him more than 2 years.
Hey, Pascal Siakam 3 years.
I don't think that from what I've seen in Jaden McDaniels... You just took
Pascal Siakam #1 overall in a redraft of 2016. Over Ben Simmons, who delivered year 2. So he delivered the full year before.
One's got one of these.
Yeah, he rode Kawhi's back.
I feel like he became the player.
Pascal Siakam ring. What are you talking about?
I mean, Pascal's one of the main reasons why they're still good right now without Kawhi. So I mean, get off that. I mean, I'm
serious. Like, you're saying he's not going to be a player for a couple years.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to throw it out there. No, I'm going to throw it out there. The Giannis thing is stupid in my mind because Jaden McDaniels is not going to be Giannis.
Let me ask you
why not?
The way Sean was like, I bet he's not falling off. I'm going to say that about Jaden McDaniels. He's not going to be the next Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Considering there's only been one Giannis in history.
Is his talent placed in the first round?
What?
Is Jaden McDaniels' talent in the first round?
Yes. Like I'm not saying he shouldn't be a first rounder. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out because of him being, in my mind, more of a prospect than some other guys that I have in the first round.
Okay, is Joel Ayayi a first-round talent?
For a team like the Lakers that could need a point guard? Yes.
Talent-wise?
Yes.
No, not fit-wise, talent-wise.
Yes. At 28, 29, and 30, yes.
Ayayi is a talent.
Absolutely. At that low, like, by the way, 28, 29, and 30, we're getting close to second rounders. So, I mean, like, give or take.
Keep your take on Jaden McDaniels. Keep your take on Jaden McDaniels.
I'm not going to be shocked if he's in the first round. I'm not going to be shocked if he's out of the first round. I didn't know we all had love boners for Jaden McDaniels here.
You called except for Dave.
That's not a love boner, but like
I said,
Jesus
I wouldn't
Christ.
be surprised if he was. I'm not saying for sure second round,
but I'd be shocked if he fell out of the first round entirely.
Yeah. There's no precedent for him being a second rounder. Like, I'm trying to think of a case where we had someone who was a top prospect in their class who performed pretty well in college and still didn't get who?
Deonta
Davis.
Michigan State.
Ended up being a second rounder to the Grizzlies. Michigan State, 6'11".
Wasn't Diamond Stone also one of those?
No, Diamond Stone was like a iffy first rounder. He was too small.
Yeah, I don't know. And just guys who are 6'9" with handles like that don't come around every day. Mm-hmm. He's got wingspan, he's got size, he's got handles, he's got a good shot, and he's got great size. With all of that in combination is something special. Whether you want to admit it or not, he was playing out of position in college, and he still played fairly well. He bottomed out, don't get me wrong, but like he bounced back.
He kind of seems like a better version of Kid Baisley. Like a more put together player than Darius Baisley was. And Baisley was a first
Darius Baisley. Yeah.
Baisley was a little bit of a ball handler, could shoot from the outside, but I mean McDaniels is just better than him. And
He is.
He was a first rounder in a better draft.
Yeah.
There's no way McDaniels is not a first rounder.
Yeah.
If you want to say he's not a lotto, that's fine. I'm not sold that he's a lottery pick, but he's definitely.
I'm a stan. That's fine. I understand. I have no problem with not being lotto. It's the not being first round that I just have to attack you for, Ricky. I'm sorry.
It's just how this draft to me is going to be. To me, after the top 10, like really the top 10, after the top 10, you've got some guys that like, if you look at my board, like Cole Anthony's not going to fall out. Vassal's not going to fall out. Maxey, Mannion, Kira Lewis is on a rise right now. But after you get to the second half of this draft, we're getting into teams that are like, no, I need someone who's going to help me with this specific need that I have. Mm-hmm. And they're not teams that, unless it's like the Celtics who have 15 million first round picks.
And no playing time for any of them.
Exactly. Like a lot of these teams are like, no, I have a plan and I need to hit with this pick. I don't have the luxury to take a project because I'm in the win now window. Like, that's why, for me, he fell. Like, he would have been the pick to me at the Celtics at 26. But I had to put Isaac Okoro in there because I think Okoro is more of a first round. If I'm choosing between McDaniels and Okoro, I'm taking Isaac Okoro over Jaden McDaniels.
I mean, just looking at the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks aren't a rebuilding win now team. At 27, they take a center when they already have Mitchell Robinson. Why wouldn't they take McDaniels?
I mean, they could, but with me, I'm looking at that as like, yet again, I know that I'm the one that kind of fits more with team need. Like, I'm not the BPA no matter what. This is just how my mocks have gone. Like, and with the Knicks, if you look at my 3.0, the Knicks, Sadiq Bey was there. He's not there no more. Even like Paul Reed and Josh Green, or Paul Reed and Josh Green, who you guys had, not there for me. Before that, Tyler Bay to the Knicks there. He ain't there no more. And then before that, they didn't have the pick for the number 1. So, like, for me, I'm just looking at it where I think that, yes, could I have him in my first round? Yes. Is he got the talent? Yes. It's just how it played out. He fell out. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal that he fell out of the first round. It's not like I had James Wiseman go all the way to 30. Like, I think that's more of a, like that would be a bigger atrocity than Jaden McDaniels falling out of the first round. I just don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the end of the world. We're just talking about the prospect.
No, I know. I'm looking at Dave's reaction. He's reacting like it's the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. There's one thing to say you forgot about him or whatever, but like say he won't be drafted in the first round because he's a project. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm insulted by.
Well, I mean, I didn't say you're twisting words here. I didn't say
those are literally what you said.
I said that's the reason why I could see him falling. It's not you're seeing me not having him as a second round as if all be all. I never said he couldn't go in the first round. A team falls in love with him. If a team likes him, I could see him falling. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
I could see him falling.
Sure.
That's it. Like, that's all. It's not end all be all. The next team we have down is the Kings. Yet again, both Dave and I had Tyrese Maxey. Sean had Jaden McDaniels, who we just talked about. Dave, why does Maxey fit here for the Kings as you and I both have him drafted here?
He doesn't. But you know what? It doesn't matter when you play defense as tough as I think that his energy, his it factor to the game, he can reignite teams. He can get a steal that turns into a clutch turnover, turns into a dunk. Like he has such a good attitude and pace of play about him. And then he has the ability to grow offensively. And he would be a perfect pair with De'Aaron Fox. Like that, those two guys, you talk about a defensive backcourt made of nightmares. Like that is terrifying. You know, I think that's the upside is it looks like Buddy Hield or Bogdanovich. That experiment's kind of happened as the season ended. We saw the bench buddy movement. Buddy Hield wasn't too thrilled with that. So there's potential for Buddy Hield to be moved this offseason, or because it looks like Bogdan is being re-signed, even though there was no extension. It just looks like it'll be a brand new contract going forward. I still think they need to go and address another guard at this point because they're pretty comfortable with Harrison Barnes rocking the 3 with that long-term deal. They've got like a handful of 4s out there. And at the 5, I still believe in Harry Giles, so I'm not going to fuck that up.
Like, this could be a team to piggyback of what we were talking about with McDaniels. I could see this being a team taking a Okoro, taking a McDaniels. Guys that, hey, you know what? We haven't seen their final form yet, and we're going to go ahead and take them. But, like, for me, I looked at Tyrese Maxey, and I went exactly what you said. Him and Fox would be dirty together. And, like, I'm looking at all the point guards, the 3 I have going, Mannion, Lewis, and Jones, and I was like, they don't really need a point guard. Like, he's just going to be a backup to De'Aaron Fox. The whole offseason thing of I hope they don't get rid of Buddy because I like Buddy, but you're right, the writing could be on the wall. Sean, you were the odd man out. You took Jaden McDaniels. Is it because of they don't have to take a guy that's necessarily, boom, he's going to help us win right now and make the playoffs?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the reason why I didn't go point guard, or especially I didn't go Tyrese Maxey, was just the fact that, I mean, I think there's a lot of issue and a lot of overlap there with him and De'Aaron Fox. I mean, at least coming out of Kentucky, the same place, both guys, one of the fastest players in their draft, good on-ball defenders, and good with the ball in their hands, scoring when they have a full head of steam to the lane. But limited shooter. I don't know if he's that good of a facilitator as well. I find issues with the Kings fit there with Maxey, but we went with McDaniels. It was mainly just potential. I mean, it was him or Okoro for me in this slot, and I think I went with McDaniels just because he seems more of their fit. I think that they like potential when they go out and draft guys, and Okoro obviously has the body, but I think the offensive abilities of McDaniels is good. It's going to overwin them. I think that he's clearly a better offensive player than Okoro, and that's what's going to at least settle that. I do think they need to go look at the 3 and the 4, though, because even though Dave said they have plenty of 4s, I mean, they're throwing out Bielitsa there a ton, and I mean, how long is that going to last? So I think McDaniels, even if he's, but that's the thing. If McDaniels is that much of a project, Bielitsa can.
You've got your draft pick literally from last year.
I mean, Bagley.
Yeah.
Like, but Bagley's his health, though. Like, that's the big.
He didn't have health issues before.
We were even talking about it in the Discord watch along last night, where it's like Bagley, the only reason why, because we were talking about redrafting that draft, and the big thing that he has in the NBA is that injury, and is it going to be an injury that nags him or reoccurs? We don't know. It's time to tell.
I've never been a fan of Bagley. I wasn't super high on him back in that draft. The potential word was the reason that got me Oliver Bagley, and the fact that he was dropping 21 and 10 in the ACC. Like, there was stuff to like about him, but I'm not a huge fan of him, and I'm not that eaten up by taking Jaden McDaniels here, because this team really, it feels like they're going. And they had one good season. They're taking a lot of steps backwards, and it feels like I feel like
I've got
they need to find. They need to find their way out of it, and I think just getting the most talent possible is that. And I think McDaniels is what is on the board right now, the most talented.
I've got a dumb question. We talked about the Pelicans because they were number 1 in our draft of trading. Could there be a package with draft picks, of course, where the Kings could move up from 13 to 1 with Buddy Hield being the main, like Buddy Hield and picks, and then with other players, if you need to add it, could that be something that happens?
The Kings are going to send the Pelicans back Buddy Hield.
Yes.
Return to sender.
Return to sender.
I mean,
because it's new management in New Orleans, so I mean,
the issue with Buddy is, will he get enough playing time?
Which, I mean,
coming off the bench, and guess what? You're not starting over Drew Holiday, are you?
Yeah, unless they. No. But if they can take, let's say, they get a point guard here. Let's say they go with either Lewis or Nico Mannion. They could then have I feel like at that point it's like, okay, do we trade Drew Holiday then? Like that's a possibility to then get a different
Drew
piece.
Holiday's still your best guard. Why would you trade your best guard?
I don't know, to get, if you're adding Buddy, I just throwing it out there of like, oh, maybe this could happen. Like Buddy Hield, would he be okay with a bench role in New Orleans? Because there's a plan.
Traded.
There's a plan in place.
Or that's why they're talking about trading him, because they moved him to the bench. I don't think Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield wasn't performing unwell. Buddy Hield was unhappy, and he didn't mesh well with the coach. He didn't like Luke Walton.
Yeah, they're actually winning quite a lot of games.
No one in Sacramento liked Luke Walton.
But could he mesh with Alvin Gentry?
I mean, they played here. He was already their coach that year, and he didn't look good until he went to the Kings. So I don't know.
Good point.
I don't think it's worth it.
That's why I said stupid question, because I'm like, it's spitballed and it had to come out of my mouth. The next team is the Spurs. Yet again, another team that Dave has Jaden McDaniels mocked to the Spurs, but I had Vassell. Sean has RJ Hampton. For me, this is one where Vassell, I think, would be a great pick for them, because is he a finished product? God, no. Most of these rookies are not a finished product. There's no Zions in this draft, but like, he's a guy that I think with the, what do I want to say? The tutelage of Popovich down there could develop into something nicely for the Spurs. And we could see a quick turnaround on his performance if Devin Vassell goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
They need a guy. That's what the Spurs need. They need somebody to kind of, I think they need somebody to like turn the ship around. Mm-hmm. It seems like they keep falling away and away and away from what they were, and it didn't help losing Kawhi Leonard. DeMar DeRozan hasn't been that guy. I think they need to find a guy that is the corner piece of their future.
RJ
Patrick Williams just went a pick before. RJ could be that guy. I love the Jaden McDaniels pick too. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about it. I ended up going with Hampton just because I think that he has higher potential to be more of a one than McDaniels does. But I mean, again, McDaniels is 6'9" and can carry the ball, so I don't think McDaniels is a bad pick. I just really like Hampton's package together. Mm-hmm. He does feel very smooth when he plays. It feels like a natural basketball player when he's going out there. I love Hampton's smoothness, and I think he's great. But I'm looking at the Spurs, and I think they need a guy. And Dave, you kind of picked one of those as well, and McDaniel. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest upside, or what's the biggest positive of them drafting McDaniels?
He gets one of the best coaches in NBA history. One of the
no, but like, how does he fit? Like, obviously Pop, right? But what about McDaniels and the Spurs?
I mean, like, he ain't gonna play. Like, it's the Spurs. Like, Keldon Johnson spent a year in the G League. So did Luka Samanic. Like, both those guys had a full year development down in the G League. Mm-hmm. Had a couple minutes up top in the actual NBA. Keldon looked really good in the G League. His shot from three wouldn't consistently fall, but he still put up like 20 a night in the G League. So, I mean, like, I think he's going to be a contributor next year. I think Jaden McDaniels needs time with an actual coach who's not his dad. Like, he needs to be taught the game of basketball where he can't argue back as much. I feel like that's one of the things. He needs a fresh perspective on his game. He's worked with top trainers. He's worked with top coaches. I get it. But, like, somebody who's not related to you, it's going to be a different perspective. And somebody with all the wisdom that Pop has, plus all the assistant coaches, the training staff there is excellent. So, like, I think there's a team that could develop a raw talent like him. And he's just got so much potential to be something special. You look at guys who have similar skill sets to him in college who have hit the NBA, and you have to talk about Brandon Ingram. You have to talk about Jonathan Isaac. You have to talk about someone who has a similar frame in Pascal Siakam. I mean, like, those are the kind of people who are able to make an impact at the next level, and they don't come around often. I know there have been misses on, weird 6'9" ball handling, wings out there. But like, when you hear the upside of those names, you're like, yeah, that's worth a shot. I absolutely think that's worth a shot. Now, is he going to be, a super unselfish player? No, that's not his play style. But this Spurs team needs someone on the wing who can take over games, because DeMar DeRozan, aging, final year contract, if he takes it. LaMarcus Aldridge still has, I think, another year on top of that on his contract, but clearly, like, this is not the team. We talked about this. Are they going to rebuild? Are they going to retool? Are they going to just scrap everything down? Or are they going to try to compete again? And I think he is the ultimate guy for a rebuild with them. Like, he is such a high potential player that if you have a hit on him, if you have a hit on DeJounte Murray, those are two amazing pieces moving forward. I really like Lonnie Walker and the bounce in his step. The man can fucking float to the hoop. It's insane. Like, they've got a couple of young pieces, but they're not going to win next year. They're not competing. I think it's just, you have to shop the pieces and aim for the highest potential place to land, you know?
It's been weird too, because they've had good drafts recently, but it feels like it hasn't been fruitful. Like, you talked about Keldon, you talked about Lonnie, you talked about Simonic, and DeJounte Murray, but it just feels like it hasn't all been all put together.
Is it because they've taken guys that are more that have just taken more time to develop and are still developing?
I think it's that, and I think it's also the fact they don't have Kawhi.
Yeah,
I mean, if they had Kawhi, this would have been easier. I mean, then you're picking 29 and you're taking Lonnie Walker at 18 or whatever, and then you're adding that to Kawhi. Like, that just makes. I mean, the issue is the star. There's no star on this team.
Yeah, and they had setbacks too.
Mm-hmm.
They had fairly big setbacks along the way too. I mean, you can't forget DeJounte's injury.
Yep.
Lonnie Walker hasn't been exactly the picture of health either. So they both missed massive chunks of time. Keldon Johnson came in healthy, but not good enough to contribute at the NBA level, they felt, so they shoved him to the G League. And Luka is the long-term, like, hey, he's going to be the guy who replaces LaMarcus in 2 years, maybe.
Does the NBA gift them a top 3 pick? Hey, they need a guy. But here's a guy. Because the guys on mine, I don't think there is the guy for my board, but like Sean's, RJ Hampton, I like that pick that you have. I know we ragged on Cole Anthony, but like, I think that I wouldn't hate him in San Antonio. If he's going to be developing, if your goal is to develop him into the guy. The next 3 that we have, I'm just going to take all of these next 3 guys, lump them together, and we can say what we want on them. Cause like, Balmero, I don't have a ton on him. Pokustevsky also like a little bit. But we've got Leandro Balmero out of Barcelona, Alexei Pokustevsky, and then Isaac Okoro. Sean, I'm going to start with you first. Who do you want to lead with out of these 3?
I'm going to lead with my guy, Balmero.
Okay.
Dave had him too. Dave had him coming in at 25. I had him at 17 with the Celtics. I want to give a shout out to Ben Pfeiffer, Pfeifer. You can follow him on Twitter, Ben_Pfeiffer, Pfeifer_. He's a draft writer, does a lot of NBA draft stuff, and he made a video on Leandro Balmero after I put him in my mock draft 3.0. I really liked him then, and Ben's video just upped it more. I think he's got great ability to be a wing playmaker, and the Celtics, I mean, we've seen that before, how important the wing position is to them and how their offense changes when they, I mean, we saw what Gordon Hayward's been able to do when he's fully healthy. We've been able to see what Tatum's been able to do. We've been able to see what Jaylen Brown's been able to do. And I think that obviously at some point Hayward's going to have to leave, and Balmero might not be a finished product just yet, but he is extremely young, still getting his feet under him. And I think that's a guy that if you get the Celtics developmental team on him, I think that he could truly become a great player. This year, he's been an improving 3-point shooter as well, which helps. So you're getting a 6'7", 6'8" guy with a shit ton of bounce, a pretty decent shot that's coming along and good passing. This kid could be a steal at 17, and we're talking like international skill where, he's been passing since he was coming out of the womb. Like this guy's got really, really nice handles and really nice passing.
You almost
with a good bounce and good shot.
You almost sound like the same sound bites we were saying about Luka Doncic, where it's like, oh, he's so young. He's been playing since he was so young, basically out of the womb. But Dave, you're the only other one with Balmero or Balmero, right? Balmero on your, because I'm not on that train yet, but I'm usually late to the international guys.
Yeah, no, I listened to what Sean said about him, did a little bit of reading. Actually got to watch one of his games on YouTube, which
he's fun.
He's not a bad player. I don't know that he's going to be a impact player early on in the end. I think that he will carve out a chunk of time for himself on a team without a
What you
problem.
call him? A project.
Oh,
You
word of the
could.
year.
Might not be a first-round talent, but he's a project.
Word of
He's
the
a project.
podcast.
He's got size. He's got. I think the thing I like is the confidence too. Like he really looks smooth out there. So I'm not in love with him, but I do respect the game he's got.
Yeah. Yeah, with me it's just maybe he moves up as we do these mocks, but right now I just got him second round in my mind, because yet again, those international guys, I'm usually late to the party on the internationals. But Alexei Pokusevsky, he is in my board or my mock. Did he fall or rise? He rose because he was at 2.0. He was at 30. Then he wasn't in my 3.0. Now he's all the way up for me at 17. Sean's got him at 22. And then Dave also has him at 17. What happened to why he wasn't in my first?
Yeah, wasn't in your third, and then jumps all the way to 17.
For me, it was that third. Like, this is what I hate about this draft is like, I feel like, and we mentioned it with Jaden McDaniels, Pokusevsky could be another one. Isaac Okoro, I could see falling into this debate where I see there's certain guys where they could fall, and it'll be one of those things where we will look and it's like, dude, why is he falling? Why is he falling? Like, they haven't picked this guy yet. Like, this guy's got to go. Like, one of these guys it's going to happen to in this draft. It's just trying to find which one. And Pokusevsky, I think, could fall into that category. But, like, I took him with the Celtics again because I think they're a team that, like we've talked about, could take a draft and stasher, could take even a guy that if he comes over right now isn't going to be impact right away, and they're taking guys that are going to take a little bit of time and play the long-term project out. So, like, that's where I think Pokusevsky's value is at, because I'm not even for sure, unless there's something I'm missing, I'm not even for sure he's going to come over right away.
I don't think there's nothing in writing that says he would, and I would imagine he's not going to, but
yeah,
that's my guess.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy too that the biggest issue with him is just his size. He's 201 pounds, 7 feet tall.
That's generous way too.
Celtics need a big, but they also need somebody who actually has size to them. So they don't need height; they need somebody who can grab a rebound. But at Pokusevsky, I think such a unique player at 7 feet tall with the fluidity that he plays with. Like, you can look at him and you would probably watch his tape and be like, okay, he's like 6'9". Like Jaden McDaniels size, and then you actually see the write up about him, and he's 7 feet tall. He doesn't look freakish out there, but it is odd, a very odd sight to see him play, and he's unique, and I think that's what teams are going to fall in love with. Something that Karnisovas has been talking about, he falls in love with skill, and something that Pokusevsky has is skill. So if we're thinking that the guy that just got hired for the Bulls, and this is a guy that's well respected throughout all the NBA. He's looking at all this skill. Well, where are the other NBA teams looking? They're probably thinking along the same lines.
Yeah.
Can we develop his body because the skill is already there?
Yeah. No, I mean, he has a lot of the desirable things that people want in a modern five now. He's able to take it out beyond the arc and shoot threes. He's comfortable with shooting from any range. He's got a good face-up game. It's just the fact of, what will happen to him defensively. Is he going to be absolutely taken advantage of, or is he someone who, in a couple of years can turn into something special for your team? I don't know. I don't hate him. But I think that he's the biggest like boom or bust prospect in this class. Because I think that there's a chance that we just could not see him play NBA minutes. But at the same time, like, take a shot at somebody who at his age is got the basics of the game down as well as he moves well enough with his size, and he has decent vision. It's just a matter of like, dude, you're going to get blown over by a strong breeze. So got to work on the strength and conditioning, see what they can do with that. But yeah, could be an interesting player.
And then the last one is Isaac Okoro, because the one thing that all three of us have in common, I might have him the lowest, but all three of us have this same thing in common. So for Sean, he was 9 last time. Now he's fallen all the way to 14. For me, he was 11. Now he's fallen all the way to 26. And Dave, he was 9 last time, has fallen all the way to 19 for you. Is there a specific reason why he is falling, or is it the same thing that I'm thinking? He's just raw. It's like I said with the Bay discussion of like Sadiq Bey fits what I want with 3. Or he's, to me, he can shoot threes, but he's more he's defensively better than Tyler Bey. Although Tyler Bey, I would say, is a better 3-point shooter than Sadiq Bey. Whereas Isaac Okoro doesn't have neither of them beat in either of those areas, and to me is a more raw prospect compared to the other two. Like right now,
I'll fact check you real quick on the Tyler Bey's a better shooter than Sadiq.
There was one of them.
Not.
There was one of them then that it was either
Sadiq's a much better 3-point shooter. Tyler Bey is a better defender.
Okay, then that's what it is. One of them is defense. One of them is 3-pointers. Thank you for that. Where like they have a niche area where Okoro doesn't, in my mind. It's like he's not a lockdown defender, but he's not like Josh Green. I'll even bring into this. One of the reasons why I'm seeing him so like high on some boards is that yes, his offense isn't fully there, but what he brings defensively with his athleticism could help a team. Is that why Okoro is falling? Because he doesn't have like a niche that he can be like, well, I'm a really good 3-point shooter. I can bring that right away from day one.
No, his niche is defensive. I mean, that's a whole thing. He's got something. He's got a great NBA body that's already there. You don't have to put on any weight or anything like that. He's athletic and he plays great defense. The issue is that, is he just going to be that? I mean, Robert Covington's valuable because he could shoot 40% from 3. I mean, if you can't shoot and you can't score and you're limited just as a slasher, you're going to be played off the floor, no matter how good of a defensive player you are. I mean, like we look at Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins was a slasher that couldn't play defense, but Wiggins could still put up 20 a night. Now, if you're just playing defense and you're only a slasher, what happens when you start losing your athletic ability? And I don't know if he has that high of a ceiling, because if he doesn't have this natural offensive game to him, I don't think that he's going to have a long starting career in the NBA. I think there's a very limited ceiling with Okoro, and that's why he's fallen.
Yeah, I see similar things. You know, I get the shades of the Stanley Johnson. You know, guy's a great defender, but he's just he's more aggressive going to the hole, which I'll give him credit for. But
and he's bigger than Stan John. Stan John has always been a stick.
Yeah, Stan John was a little thinner for sure, but like that's the thing. Stanley Johnson never learned to shoot, and it was always can he be a shooter? Then he's got the whole package. MKG. It just turned into dude's a great defender, can't shoot. He had worse form, to be fair. That hitch was just untouchable as far as like below on shooting levels. But I look at Okoro and I just had that realization of like, I get the production in college. I see how valuable he was to a college team, but how he's scoring, the players who he's scoring through, will he be able to do the same thing at the NBA level? And then are they going to play 4-on-5? And you have to find a spot for a team who can afford to not have 5 shooters on the floor. Not every team can do that. Not every team plays into that. And especially at the wing position where shooting is so valuable, like what Sean was talking about, I just don't know that his defense is, Tony Allen good enough to have on the floor. Like Andre Roberson good enough to have on the floor. Because like that's essentially what you're looking at is, like a college version of Roberson. You know, he can slash with the best of them, but nothing about his shot makes you believe that he's going to ever have a consistent shot.
Yeah.
So he's a bad free throw shooter. He's a bad 3-point shooter. It's not it's not horribly broken form, but it's not going in, and people aren't going to respect him.
He's got 2 careers. He's got Tony Allen or he's got Justice Winslow. I mean, those I feel like are the 2 different
depends on where he lands
paths for him. No, but I'm just saying, like, we see Winslow now developing into a good offensive player.
A great
That's what I'm
offensive
saying.
player, some would say.
Yeah, we saw him develop into something that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Justice was a more rounded player in college, though. Even.
Okay, that's fair, but I'm just trying to find like a comparison. Like he can either be Justice Winslow or he could be Tony Allen.
Oh, like if he learned to shoot with his size, his strength, if he could pull up a shot from, I'm struggling to find somebody who's like a, almost career average shooter
Mm-hmm.
who has like that level of defense. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
but
ain't justice. I love justice.
yeah, with him though, it's also like Dave. I was hearing you when you were giving your spiel. I was like, maybe then it would be maybe beneficial for him to fall to like the out of 20 range, because then he could fall on a playoff team that would be like, hey, we really need your defense, and he can find a role early while working on the other stuff.
Maybe, but that's the reason I like Josh Green. Rides back on my board again.
Yep.
It's the back to basics. It's what do teams need? What do teams want to have going forward? And like, yeah, Josh Green going
to the Magic. No,
to the T-Wolves.
Yep,
because he has good defense. It's not as good as Okoro's, but he has a 3-point shot. He has consistency to his game,
and he's got athleticism.
Yeah, so like there's just a more to the package that he can bring. I think Okoro has that ability to be special on defense, but how valuable is Tony Allen in 2020? We'll find out.
Any final thoughts on anything 11 through 20 before we end up the podcast with 21 through 30?
Nope.
Well, that's going to do it on YouTube. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Also, check out 1 through 10 and 21 through 30.